Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to American Revival. How are you all today? Have you seen the video of our great president and his great vice president, J.D. Vance, giving that ungrateful little pipsqueak Zelensky the spanking he deserves on camera? You seen that? Well, I'll put it up over on the Patreon channel if you haven't. If you haven't, it is worth watching. Uh, Zelensky comes over here. Now, for anybody who is pro-Ukraine or pro-Zelensky, I'm not slamming you, okay? But I encourage you to look deeper into this situation. If you are pro-Ukraine, and I have good friends of mine who they just you think Ukraine's great. When I get to talking to them, I realize they don't know the whole story. Most people know what they've heard on the news or on Wiki, and I'll tell you, all of that has been cleaned up. And I said this a long time ago. If you think that Ukraine is the good guy in this, you're wrong. Okay, so our CIA installed him over there because they needed Ukraine. Now, this is some harsh truth. Ukraine to be well, they needed it to be a place they could launder money, uh, ship drugs. It's a hub. It's one of the world's largest hubs of human trafficking, and it is a hub for all the biolabs. Did you know that? Many of you did. Many of you know this. Okay, and yet it's Russia that has been made out to be the bad guy. Why? Because Russia's always the bad guy. Okay, those of you who go back and understand the history of United States-Russia relationship back to the end of the World War II, you know how we screwed over Russia, and they had a right to be angry with us. I won't talk about the last 60, 70 years on there. I'm going to bring it up to this. So Zelensky, that little punk, that little high-heeled dancing comedian that everybody thinks is the president of Ukraine, comes over here, doesn't have the respect to put on a coat and a tie. He likes to assume this aura, this identity of the great freedom fighter, the great revolutionary, when all he was a, you know what. He is like Castro, right? He reminds me a lot of Castro. I'll be real honest. So he comes over after making demands of Biden for years. Of course, we know why Biden loved him. We supported. We didn't. Those of us who knew better, we didn't support Ukraine. The Ukrainian people, I'm sure, are great folks. I'm sure they're great, just like Russian people and most American people and Canadians and Mexicans and all that. It's not the people, it's the leaders. And so he's been over there stomping his little feet, his little high-heeled feet, making demands of the United States, and he got his way during Biden. And then he thought he could do the same to Trump. And he came over here after they apparently hammered out a deal on the rare earth and minerals. We were going to save their butts from Russia and give them some security. And he comes over and pulls this kind of crap. You should have seen it. Starts arguing and showing great disrespect for President Trump. And that's when JD stepped in and said, wait a minute. It's very disrespectful. This isn't a quote, I forget. It's disrespectful. You haven't come in here. You ought to be grateful for what we have done for you. And Zelensky, like the little punk pipsqueak he is, guys, he is. If you don't know this, look into it. You need to have a better understanding of what's really going on in the world. And I'm not talking to those of you who do, but I would say that the vast majority of Americans don't. And if you don't really understand the background of these things, and you're only going on what the news comes out on the day, you won't understand. I've said there are two major things that have formed the collective mindset of the American people more than anything else. It is the war they call the Civil War, which wasn't a civil war at all, and the situation with Germany from World War One through World War II, including the Weimar Republic, the rise of the Third Reich, Hitler, all of that. People don't know anything about it. They think they know everything about it because they studied it a little bit, a couple of paragraphs in school, and then they've heard people say things about it all their lives, and they don't know anything about it. If you want two things to go back and really study, and it's hard to find now. 10 years ago, you could find a lot of information on this, even on the internet. Now it's all been scrubbed. But this is a reflection of those times. And this little pipsqueak is going to get his country destroyed. And he has sacrificed most of his country by not being willing to have peace talk. Now, you can say, well, but they invaded his country, and why should he have peace talks, and we have a responsibility to go over there and help him? We don't have a responsibility to go over and help him. Not after some of the things that they have done. They are a rogue state, and I don't mean the people. The Ukrainian government is a rogue government. It is a corrupt government. It's probable. We talked about the corruption in Mexico. Mexico doesn't hold a candle to the corruption in the Ukrainian government. And that's probably a surprise to a lot of people. And a lot of people are probably saying, Steve doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, Steve has studied this for years, and you might want to too. Just a thought. So he thought he could come over here and play hardball, and he got set down in the dugout by a strong president. He thought he could do this because he's been able to bully the United States through weak leadership for years, and also through an American leadership that was not for America. Our leadership has been against America. You all know that. Okay. And finally, he comes up against a strong American president, and he thought he could bully his way. He got spanked in public. It was enjoyable to watch. I'm going to watch it several more times. Now, what's the result of this? This could start another. This could either make Trump. Now, he's a deal maker, and he will take. And here again, I've told you I followed Trump for years and years and years before most people were aware of him. I know how he thinks. I know how he works. He can take personal insults to an extent, but he doesn't forget. It doesn't keep him from making a deal. But I don't think that he will take an insult against our country. And I bet there are some words once, and he let the cameras roll. And I thought this was great. After this exchange, which ran for, 5, 6, 7 minutes, of Zelensky acting like the little, like I say, the dog's ass trying to wag the dog, and going back and forth, the world got to see what this little punk is. And Trump said it. He said, okay, I let this run because I think it's good for people to see what we're dealing with here. And so I don't know what he's going to say afterwards, what he said back here. If it was me, I probably would have said, hey, little dancer, you're on the next plane back, and no more American help, no more American dollars, no more American anything. You're a punk, get lost, polish up your Russian. Simple as that. Probably that's not what he's going to say. He is going to tell Zelensky where the rabbit sits. You can be sure of that. Now, I can see a couple of possible scenarios. I can see the possibility of Ukraine being split in two. I can. And I'm not sure it would be bad. Oh, I know a lot of people are going to come on here. That's all right. You have a different opinion. You have a right to your opinion as long as it's informed, I can see Ukraine being split in two, with Russia taking the eastern part and the United States taking the western part. How would that be? You know what we would have? We would have solidarity. We would have stability in the region. And we would stop having all these Ukrainians and Russians killed. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people killed. I understand. Well, if somebody's invading my country, we will fight back, right? You have to go back and understand why these things happened. Why did they happen to begin with? You need to study that yourself. And then you tell me who's the good guy and who's the bad guy. I'm not saying that Putin is 100% good guy. He's not. I'm saying if we're going good guy, bad guy, I'm saying if you're just on the bad guy scale, I'm going to call Putin 30% and Zelensky 70%. You know all the women left Ukraine, and then you know that most of them, not most, but a lot of the men tried to get out of Ukraine, right? Why? Because they didn't want to fight for what they knew to be a corrupt government. It was a corrupt puppet of the United States. So I'm glad that this was up there. Everybody got to see it. What this Zelensky is. He's a punk. He's a poser. He's a person who he's a narcissist. He is wrapped up in his own fantasy of importance because he's been backed by the US for so long. And hundreds of thousands of people have suffered as a result of this. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Also, what could happen is a civil war in Ukraine. Because when they see that Zelensky has gone totally crazy enough that he does this stuff on national television, that's going to be all around the world. I mean, by dinner time today, some little kid in a mud hut in Africa will have seen this. And they're going to see what Zelensky really is. They're going to see that he is what some of us have been telling other people he is for years. This is why nothing's getting done over there. It's not about Russia, it's Zelensky. So anyway, we will see. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Let me just back up and finish that thought. A civil war in Ukraine means that Russia's taken at least half of Ukraine anyway. Because in the instability that comes along with their internal civil war, you know what civil wars do. Other countries take sides, right? Zelensky's going to try to get NATO on his side. I would say that is a very poor bet after his display today. Because the rest of the European heads, they're not strong. They're all weak. And they're all closet Marxists, except for the new generation coming in. But they also know that they're not strong enough. They could have bullied Biden, but they know they're not strong enough to stand up to Trump and a strong America. And so I would if America doesn't stand up for Ukraine, who's going to? I mean, when the real war starts. I know. Oh, Poland's going to send some people and France is going to send some people. Well, when was the last time that somebody felt good about France coming to save them, right? That's like, the Canadians are going to come save us. Yeah, there's a lot of fine people in Canada, but, you got to know where you are on the totem pole. This is a big boy stuff. This is real world stuff, and this is the kind of stuff that can explode and take us into a world war. Get ready. Watch that video. Do your homework on Ukraine. It's not as easy to find as it used to be, but find it and get ready. All right. America is strong. People saw the strength of America today, and it was something to see. Y'all have a good day. America used to need a reversion. Now America is in its revival. Have a good one. Bye-bye.